Nitha Prabhu has joining us. Hopefully his internet is better today.
Yeah. We were having trouble yesterday.
Yeah. So devotees, if you don't mind, if you scroll down, the black stripe, if you see the participants, and then if you click that and you'll see your name, hover over it, and then you go to more and you can change your name, right? This will be useful for many other things. So it'll be defaulted to one name. I guess you have to change it every time. So please change it so that it's not iPhone 9 or something. We don't see any of the iPhones or iPads, which is great, but just an option to change the name to the more familiar name so that we know who it is. Yeah, Paumalni Mother has done that. Prabhu, you're ready, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, I'm ready. Is this
perfect?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Perfect. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my inauguration, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So happy to be back again. Anand Gauranga Prabhu, just a quick question. You see on my screen, the background is kind of, it's rotated 180 degrees. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the background. So do you know what I could do on Zoom to?
No, it looks nice. It looks
nice. Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
It looks perfect.
But isn't it like a mirror image? Because I can see it as a mirror image.
No. It's good, Prabhu.
It's good, Prabhu.
Oh, then it's fine.
Yeah, so we don't have a problem with that. So we can get started, Prabhu. Is that okay?
Perfectly fine with me, yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Naren Prabhu's there, so we will talk later, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, today is 27th of December 2020. On behalf of ISKCON Scarborough, I'd like to welcome each one of you to this 10th successive month of virtual Sunday feast classes. Believe it or not, it started on 22nd of March, and this is the last class for the year 2020. So hopefully all of you are completely drenched in Krishna consciousness, especially after reading or hearing the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita on the day of Christmas, which is also unique, right? Christmas and Gita Jayanti were on the same day. And this has been eventful and unique year in all respects for all of us. We are all waiting to welcome 2021 with open arms and hoping for better things. And I know most of the people have already started the New Year countdown. Usually the countdown happens few minutes before the clock strikes 12, but I know it's already started and everybody's hoping for the best. So today we are honored to welcome back His Grace Rohinipriya Prabhu to speak to us on a very special and unique topic. The topic is Genius Dressed in Working Clothes, a very unique topic. And Prabhu has given many classes for the ISKCON Scarborough devotees coming to the temple, as well as virtual classes in the last few months. I can think of Cleaning the Temple of the Heart was a 2-part series, Pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Honesty, a Rich Legacy, and he also gave another unique class with a unique title, Honey, the Symbol of Sweetness and Prosperity. And just to reiterate, Prabhu graduated with an MBBS degree from India, Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery, but did not pursue his career as a doctor, but started his lifelong study of Bhakti Yoga after his graduation from the university, and it's since been traveling and preaching the essence of the scriptures around the world. And for the last few months, Prabhu has been in Seattle, USA, and so we are all fortunate because of that. Prabhu is able to give so many classes for ISKCON Scarborough devotees. He is a true friend of ISKCON Scarborough, and he's been assisting several devotees across the Greater Toronto area, not only across Greater Toronto area, in Montreal and other parts of Canada as well, and in USA in their spiritual progress, including showing the path to initiation as well as progress of Krishna consciousness. So with that, I would like to welcome His Grace Rohinipriya Prabhu to speak to us on the topic of Genius Dressed in Working Clothes. And by the way, all our classes are recorded and posted on YouTube. You can search by ISKCON Scarborough, as well as we will update it in our website as well. So over to you, Rohinipriya Prabhu.
Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for once again allowing me this opportunity to speak on Krishna consciousness and to speak about our scriptures as has been described by Srila Prabhupada. So most of our understanding we derive from the teachings and writings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Today's topic is would seem a little intriguing to many people. Genius dressed in ordinary clothes. Actually, this was a quotation, a quote that I had read, or I had, it affected me. Genius dressed in its working clothes. And I felt that this is very appropriate, especially in a Krishna consciousness. So what was being described is common sense. And the exact quotation, which is attributed to one famous thinker, philosopher, writer, and poet of the 18th century, Immersion, R.W. Immersion, Ralph Waldo Immersion. He said that common sense is genius dressed in ordinary clothes. So I was struck by it because that is what is expressed through the teachings of Srila Prabhupada too. That Srila Prabhupada would, someone asked Srila Prabhupada, so what is Krishna consciousness? And Srila Prabhupada explained that Krishna consciousness is being conscious of Krishna always. So simple. We just need to use our common sense. As the saying goes, that common sense is the most uncommon commodity, or common sense is that which is most uncommonly used. So although it is called as common sense, there is a dearth of utility. Also, genius dressed in its working clothes refers to the idea of how one should always be striving or working to prepare oneself, to make oneself qualified, or to make oneself compliant so that we can receive the mercy of Krishna. So that means it's hard work. One has to get one's feet dirty if one has to prepare oneself, prepare one's heart. If you want to be poetic, then prepare the heart and make it a fit place to receive the grace of Krishna, so that Radha and Krishna reside within the heart, within the forest of Vrindavan that we create within our heart. So we need to get our feet dirty, we need to flex our muscles, we need to work. So the idea about a genius is someone who's exceptionally good. So one could be a genius at one's work, or one could be a genius in terms of being very knowledgeable, whichever way. So to be very expert is also the idea of being a good devotee. It is one of the qualities of being a good devotee, one of the important qualities of being situated in devotional service is to be a kovida. A kovida means expert, someone that is very conscious of one's thoughts, words, and actions. So the word, the Sanskrit word for it is kovida, or sometimes the Sanskrit word used for, especially in its verb form, is pragya. Or let us say in its adverb form, it is more about action. So pragya means good intelligence, or properly situated. So when one is properly situated and one has worked hard to be properly situated, then actually one is in what the living entity is in its constitutional position. The living entity is constitutionally perfectly placed. As the part and parcel of Krishna, we are perfectly placed to serve Krishna such that we are satisfied. And because we are satisfied, we love doing service. And Krishna, being the perfect recipient of service, seeing our satisfaction, Krishna gives us more opportunities to be satisfied. So basically, Krishna expresses his happiness, and his happiness becomes to uddipan, it becomes a stimulus for us to render more service. So we are constitutionally placed. We are in a constitutional position. And this is common knowledge. One does not really, this is not rocket science, so to say. Hence, common sense is genius dressed in its working clothes. That is how this particular topic seemed interesting to me, and I kind of used it for my presentation today. So today I would begin with describing a beautiful exchange that is expressed in the holiest of holy books, the book that is very dear to Gaudiya Vaishnavas and all Vaishnavas, the Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll refer to this incident, which is from the fifth canto. The first half of the fifth canto, wherein there's a description of a king of the name Rahuguna and his interaction with a great personality called as Jad Bharat. And then we will be also referring to various quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and a couple of other scriptures to help us be very much involved in this presentation, to help us be comfortable in understanding this presentation. And finally, we'll conclude with another beautiful interaction from from one of the commentaries on the Ramayana, on the life of Sri Ramachandra. So that is the way today's presentation will go. Coming back to intelligence, or coming back to being an expert at doing things in this world. Intelligence, sometimes pragya, the Sanskrit word pragya or kovida, directly or indirectly also refers to the buddhi or intelligence, the ability to choose that which is favorable and to overlook that which is unfavorable. That is how an expert person behaves in this world, or an expert person lives by this principle, to accept that which is favorable and to overlook that which is unfavorable, or to reject that which is unfavorable. Anukulasya sankalpo pratikulasya varjanam. And the reason an intelligent person accepts this principle or lives by this principle is so that life becomes easy. You know, we need to make our existence a little comfortable, so that the challenges that one faces are chosen ones, so that the challenges that come in life are challenges that one are aware of, so that such that we can overcome those challenges, such that we can try and be undeterred by those challenges, to try and grow through those challenges. An intelligent person lives by this principle of accepting that which is favorable and rejecting that which is unfavorable. And if one wants to live by this principle, then it is important that one adopts a particular perspective in life. And what is that perspective? That one must let our intelligence be dynamic and not static. You see, education cannot be a measure of one's intelligence, although education does facilitate one to be able to use one's intelligence. But education per se may not completely reflect the measure of our intelligence. Sometimes the measure of our intelligence, or sometimes our capacity at choosing, at making the right choices, depends on the ability to accept change. If we are very rigid, if we are not open to change, especially change for the better, then our intelligence may not really be able to guide us. The intelligence can simply be quotations, or our intelligence may only function in the form of sending forth quotations on WhatsApp. You know, like somebody once said that intelligence is, the measure of intelligence is not when we simply open our mouth to eat. Similarly, the expression of intelligence is simply not where we have received a forwarded post on WhatsApp, on social media, and we repost it, we forward it further. That may not be the complete use of this facility called as pragya. Pragya means expert at delineating and making delineating or discriminating and making the right choices. So one must be able to accept change in one's outlook towards life, in the way one renders service, in the way one interacts in any relationship, because that is intelligence. Where it is static, that means one has become very rigid, and wherever there is rigidity, although being rigid is helpful when you want to stay focused, at the same time, uh, since we have intelligence, it is essential that we can also be a little flexible towards changing for the better. And for this to be possible, we don't need external things. We don't need riches. We don't need. Uh, uh, we are not really dependent on things like food, shelter, clothing, etc. For one may be very poor, and one may not have good clothes, but if one's mind is a palace, if one's mind is uh, a grand palace, and in other words, the mind has the facility to work in great ways, then the externals may or may not come according to time. So whether one is poor in the sense of one is wealthy or one does not have wealth, or whether one has good clothes or one does not have proper clothes, whether one has a full stomach or whether one is um, for the day hungry, or just for the day, it is very important that we have our intelligence in the right place. Uh, on the mental platform, one must feel uh, always capable of approaching Krishna. One must feel always inspired to be connected to Krishna, because Krishna is the source of all riches. Krishna is the source of all facilities. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna is Rasraj. So it is important to have this perspective in life, this approach in life. Yes, and therefore, whatever is the cost, whatever it takes to have this approach in life, that whether I'm rich or poor, whether I'm happy or unhappy, whether I'm sick or healthy, my ability to connect with Krishna is always intact. It's always existing. My ability to be able to, or the potential that I have to be able to seek the shelter of law of the Supreme Lord is always intact. Um, is always there. Is always present. And that is only possible when our intelligence is very strong, or when we are expert at being able to overcome challenges in life, whether it is physical or whether it is emotional, etc. So the price that one pays for being in knowledge can never be compared to, and can never be equated to, the price that we pay for ignorance. Yes. Ignorance means where one cannot discriminate. Ignorance means darkness, and in darkness, there is no delineation, there is no distinction, there is no discrimination, there is no variety, there is no clear understanding of one's identity. However, when there is light, there is distinction, uh, uh, there is this facility to see oneself with relation to another existence. So even if we have to uh, we have to pay a lot, even if it means that we need to spend a lot of money on um, on trying to gain knowledge, it is worth it. Because if we have accumulated a lot of ignorance, what is the use of it? But if we use everything that ignorance is worthy of, if we think that uh, there's a certain price to live a life of ignorance, rather than that, if we use it to uh, um, um, cultivate knowledge, then that price that we pay is worth it. Is definitely worth it. So whatever it takes, one has to always be aware of Krishna. One has to always be unmukh, or one has to be facing towards Krishna. One should try not to be vimukha, face away from Krishna. However, since we are limited by this material body and we are limited by this material existence, there are going to be difficulties, which we call as challenges, which we call as obstacles. There are going to be difficulties. One has to be a little smart. Being smart can be conjured to be the ability to avoid situations of difficulties. Also, at the same time, the idea of smartness is that if it is unavoidable, if we have to face the challenges, then we should stay with the questions a little longer. What it basically means is that we should try to seek answers which will help us overcome those challenges. Therefore, smartness does not simply mean that one avoids questions, or one is able to avoid. Smartness does not only mean that we know the answers to the questions. Smartness also means to not give up. A smart person does not give up. A smart person always is a seeker too. So if we can stay with the questions as long as it needs, as long as it takes to get the answers, then that is a smart person too. And therefore, one of the qualities of a devotee is that a devotee is very persistent. Or one of the devotional qualities needed to be cultivated in our practices is that one has to be persistent, one has to be determined, one has to, since there are going to be challenges too in our life, difficulties in our life, one has to seek answers to questions that will help us overcome those challenges. One must not stop being curious. One must never stop being, one must never give up asking questions, the right kind of questions. What would it take for me to do better? What would it take for me to go ahead in life? Having said that, now I will come to the Srimad Bhagavatam and the reference within the Srimad Bhagavatam about this incident between the great king Rahugana and Jad Bharat. So very briefly, this is from the 5th canto, where this interaction between King Rahugana and Jad Bharat is described, is explained. So King Rahugana had to travel from one place to another, and he was traveling in a palanquin. And one of his palanquin bearers had a mishap. So the other pallbearers, so as to say, or the palanquin carriers, they looked for a replacement. They couldn't find one easily available. And then they happened to notice a person standing in the fields, uh, a very healthy looking person, a very fit person, was standing in the fields like a scarecrow. And they felt that, hey, this person can do the job. So they approached that person, and well, it worked. And the person became one of the pallbearers. The person became one of the palanquin carriers. So a palanquin is carried on, let's say, it has to be carried by at least people on four ends. So it could be four or more than four people at four different ends that carry a palanquin. So one of the ends was being carried by Jad Bharat, and Jad Bharat, who was this person that they had recruited uh, temporarily, they had recruited this person. This person uh, uh, very effortlessly was doing the job. Well, what happened was that Jad Bharat was a very kind-hearted person, and when he saw a line of ants, when he saw a colony of ants that was streaming across the very path that they were walking on, uh, and these ants were scampering all over the place. Being a kind-hearted person, he did not want to step on the ants, so he kind of was doing a dancing act. And now, when one of the palanquin carriers is not in, if all the four ends of the palanquin are not being carried in tandem, then it becomes difficult for the person sitting in the palanquin to be comfortable. And Jad Bharat, because of trying to sidestep or trying to not step over these ants, was not working in tandem with the other three uh, ends, the other three uh, uh, aspects of this palanquin carriers. Let's say the other three people, let's say there were only four people who were carrying the palanquin. So the other three noticed that Jad Bharat was not in a tandem with them, was out of sync. So Rahugana, the king, became very angry and he warned Jad Bharat, and that did not bring about any change, because Jad Bharat, it appeared, was practically deaf and dumb. He was only convinced through sign language, so people, the other pallbearers, felt that he was deaf and dumb. Moreover, they felt that he was more of dumb, and he had very little hearing capacity. So the king shouted at him out of frustration the second time, and he said that you are a deaf and dumb person because you're not, you don't answer submissively to your king, and you do not respond to your king's words. And it seems that you are an ignorant fool, and it seems that although you have a healthy body, you are physically fit, mentally you are incapacitated, and there's so many words of insult. Ultimately, being the king, he also threatened him that if it did not work properly, then he would be put to death. And when he said that, Jad Bharat spoke to him words that shocked the king, because these were words of extreme enlightenment. So Jad Bharat said that, my dear king, I can see that you are an illusion, because when you address me, you are addressing my body, but you're not addressing me, because the body is different from the soul. And similarly, because you are not having good intelligence, therefore you consider me and yourself to be different. You consider yourself to be the master and me to be the servant, and you consider yourself to be the king and me to be your subject whom you can punish. Whereas an intelligent, learned person would not see the difference between bodies, but would see the existence of the soul in every single personality. So when King Rahugana heard this, being a king of who had of good learning, he realized that he was talking to a very learned person. So the king now took a humble approach, and realizing that this enlightened person, not only had he kind of been a little offensive, but he also had an opportunity to seek his forgiveness and blessings and learn from this enlightened person. So the king took that approach, and he became humble and submissive, and he sought forgiveness. And then the king made inquiries from Jad Bharat, asking him very intelligent questions and putting forward very intelligent proposals. The king said that, my dear sir, I can understand that you are very, very learned. However, I feel that what you're suggesting, what you're proposing, is actually lacking very much. It is lacking in knowledge. It is lacking in proper perspective. And he said that, let me explain. You say that the body is, one should not see distinction in terms of the body, and one should consider everyone to be equal on the spiritual platform. And you say that actually one should consider oneself to be the soul and not the body. And you say that one should not be affected by the situations of the body, like pleasure and pain, thirst and tiredness, etc. However, I feel that your proposals are not completely correct. And the reason is that although the soul may be different from the body, but the soul also undergoes or is affected by the tribulations of the body. For example, if the body is thin or fat, or if the body is tired, then this gets reflected onto the soul too. And let me give you an example. He says that just as if you take rice and milk and put it on fire, trying to cook rice and milk, the milk gets the heat, and so does the rice. Similarly, in this material world, whatever affects the body also affects the mind and affects the soul. And your other proposition that the distinction between master and servant and king and the subjects is incorrect, is also not what I feel is the correct perspective, because as a king, it is my duty to correct my subjects. It is my duty to punish my subjects, because by doing so, I am stopping them from committing wrong. I am stopping them from committing sinful activities. And because they have received punishment now, it stops them from, or it nullifies the reaction that they would receive in a future life. So, my dear king, I definitely feel that, my dear sir, I definitely feel that although you are a learned person and I respect you as such, I think what I am stating is also correct. And when Jad Bharat hears that, he is very much amused. And in the 5th canto, 11th chapter, verse number 1, Shukdev Goswami, he speaks, or Shukdev Goswami expresses Jad Bharat's comment. Brahmana Uvacha. Kovidat kovidavadadan vadasitho nati vidam varishtha nasurayo hi vyavaharamenam tattvamarshena sahamananti. The king says, Kovidah kovidavadadan. Sorry, the Brahmana says to the king. The Brahmana here means Jad Bharat. Because he was born in a Brahmin family, so he's being addressed as a Brahman by Shukdev Maharaj. Tatvava marshena sahamananti. It is important that we use fine intelligence and fine judgment, or we use fine judgment guided by good intelligence to properly reflect on what is correct and what is incorrect. Unfortunately, what I see here is something different. What you see is that you're speaking words which appear to be full of wisdom. Kovida vada vadan. Words that are spoken by wise people or people of great experience or people that know truth from false. So Kovida vada vadan, it seems that you're speaking words which reflect the words of experienced persons. Unfortunately, you're speaking those words being unexperienced yourself. You're speaking those words without a good intelligence. Akovidaha, without proper intelligence. So, my dear king, although you are not at all experienced, you're trying to speak like an experienced man. And consequently, you cannot be considered an experienced person, because an experienced person does not speak the way you're speaking about the relationship between the master and a servant, or about material pains and pleasures. And Jad Bharat explains why the king is not very erudite in his understanding, his understanding is not correct. He says, any experienced person who has understood the absolute truth would not speak in this way, because somebody who has experienced the absolute truth realizes that when we speak of the material body, or when we speak of material experiences in terms of people possessing bodies which have distinctions like master and servant, king and subject, so on and so forth, then all we are speaking about is actions and reactions in this material world. Hence, when you speak about punishment, when you speak about being saved from danger in a future life, from reactions in a future life, what you're speaking about is reactions to material actions. Whereas experienced people, or co-vida people who have realization, they understand that material activities are experiences similar to experiences in a dream state. You see, when one is in a dream state, then one actually undergoes experiences. However, the state of existence, which is called as dreaming, only happens when one is asleep, when one is unaware of one's awakened state. When one is not awake, when one is unaware of one's state of awakening, which basically means that one is sleeping, then that is where one is in the state of dreaming. And hence, a dream state is considered to be, a dream is considered to be an experience in ignorance. It cannot be an experience in knowledge. It cannot be an experience in the enlightened state. So why are the activities in terms of material designations and distinctions considered to be a dream state? because the living entity, the pure soul, has accepted this existence where one becomes affected by the modes of passion, goodness, and ignorance. One has accepted that state of existence. And when one accepts a state of existence where one is governed by the three modes, then one loses contact, or one uh, forgets one's existence as spirit soul. One goes into the state of ignorance. And whatever are the experiences in the state of ignorance, they cannot be considered to be experiences in the enlightened state. They cannot be considered to be experiences that are real, in the sense that these are experiences that one is having in a dream. Although the person who's undergoing those experiences is real. So the spirit soul is real. The elements of the material world are all real because the material world is Krishna's energy, and Krishna is a person, so his energy is also personal. The energy also has Vyaktitva, the energy also has personality. So Krishna's energy, which is this material creation, and the living entity, all are real. The experience that the living entity is having in this material world is unreal. When we say unreal, it does not mean that it does not exist. When we say unreal, the idea is that it is existence in the dream state. So some of the impersonalists or some of the nihilists, the Mayavadis and the Shunyavadis, they use this logic to prove that the soul does not exist, or the soul is actually one existence and it cannot be divided. So that is fallible logic. That is incorrect logic. The correct logic is that whenever we use the word unreal in the English language, what we want to say is the dream-like existence, the dream-like state. Because we want to emphasize on that which is real and that which is dream like, we sometimes use the word unreal. In the Sanskrit text, the word is used as Jagrat Avastha and Supta Avastha. Jagrat Avastha means a stage of the awakened stage, or awakened state of life, and Supta Avastha means sleeping state. So in the Sanskrit language, it is very clear, Jagrat Avastha and Supta Avastha. There is no other terminology that is used. However, in the English language, sometimes we may use real and unreal. What we actually mean is awakened state and state of sleep, where one is in a dream. So material life is the state of sleep, where one is experiencing dreams. And within this dream, because there is the influence of the modes of nature, by the influence of the modes of nature, we have, because of the influence of the modes of nature, we have tools that are called as the senses. They are 10 in number, and we have the mind, which is a king of the senses. So sometimes they are called as 11 senses, and we have got the 5 levels of existence, or 5 levels or the 5 different kinds of matter in terms of earth, water, fire, air, ether. So the modes are responsible for giving us these tools, the 11 senses and the 5 aspects of matter. Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kham. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are 5 elements of matter, and the 11 senses are the knowledge acquiring senses, the working senses, and the mind. Although the mind is not exactly the same, it is not exactly gross, it is subtle, but scriptures may refer to, since it is a tool, So it is also included in the senses. So there are 11 senses, one of these senses is the king amongst all. This is also corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Mana Shashtani Indriyani. Shashta Indriya. Shashta means 6. Krishna does not say Mana Evam Pancham Indriyani. Pancha would mean 5, Indriyani is senses, Mana is the mind. So the 6 senses, including the mind, that is how Prabhupada translates it. So the 3 modes of material nature, they bring forth these various tools of tools that are used to bring about distinctions of you and me, high and low, master and servant, humans, animals, birds, etc., etc., etc. Further, Jad Bharat says that, my dear king, also, although the mind is a tool that is offered by the 3 modes of material nature, it exists because we accept, the spirit soul accepts an existence governed by the 3 modes of material nature. The same mind can work in ways that could help us come out of this dream state, that could help us come out of this sleep state. It is the same mind. The mind works in this dual way. Hence, the scriptures say that Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshaya. The Upanishads state this. The mind is the cause of one's bondage, and the mind is the cause of one's lamentation. So this idea that there is necessity of punishment so that society can be properly governed, and at the same time, if the king offers punishment or a judge offers punishment, then since the judge represents the universal department of justice, or the king represents the universal department of justice, therefore that punishment, it is the remedy to the mistake or the sin that is committed by the person, and hence the person need not suffer in a future life. The punishment it remedies the mistake or the shortcoming that was there. So this logic is also born out of the idea of pleasure and pain, which is again a dream state of existence. The idea that if I do pious activities, I'll go to heaven, and impious activities will lead me to more painful existence like hell. All of this is it exists in a dream-like state. So, dear king, an enlightened person is a person who has used the mind differently, and how the mind has been used to work with the intelligence, good intelligence. Someone said that an intellectual is a person who is not afraid to borrow others' intelligence too. So intelligence does not simply mean one's own intelligence. One should be a kovida, one should be an intellectual, one should be open to borrowing from others' intelligence too. In other words, one should seek out a wise person too. An intelligent person is one who learns from one's mistakes. A wise person is one who seeks out an intelligent person and learns from their mistakes. Yes, let me repeat that. An intelligent person would be somebody who learns from their mistakes. A wise person is one who learns from others' mistakes. A wise person is someone who approaches an intelligent person and asks them questions so that they can learn from their mistakes, they can learn from their experiences, and with such learning, have one's own experiences too. When I said that a genius in its working clothes. What I meant is, along with the intelligence, there has to be action. Intelligence without action is like a bird without wings. You cannot fly. You cannot fly into the open sky. You cannot be free. You'll be bound to the earth. So, to be able to fly free, one's intelligence has to be uh, combined with proper action. And that is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is working in intelligence, is working with good intelligence, with proper intelligence. Srila Prabhupada once told Giriraj Maharaj that yes, our movement would be successful when our followers, they chant Hare Krishna sincerely and good intelligence, with good organization. So both action along with proper deliberation is Krishna consciousness. So Jad Bharat says he helps the king understand this with a good example, that how the mind can be used for one's liberation too, for enlightenment too. He says that for a lamp to give light, it is important that the lamp has a good wick made out of cotton and fuel, a container in which there is a fuel, and within the fuel, like an oil, and within the oil is the wick. However, if the wick is not properly soaked in the oil, if the wick is not completely soaked in the fuel, then the burning wick would create smoke that would cover up the lamp, the container, such that the light cannot shine forth clearly. However, if the wick is properly soaked in the fuel, then the wick burns without smoke, and there is proper complete light, complete there is good brightness. So similarly, when the mind is used in thinking about pleasure, pain, high and low, king and servant, then all one experiences material activities. One may experience good life, one may experience not such a good life, but it is still material activity, and it is bound by, one is still bound in this material world by the fourfold miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. On the other hand, if the mind is properly soaked in Krishna conscious knowledge, then when that mind functions, when it burns forth, then there is no smoke of ignorance. There is pure bright light. There is enlightenment and there is freedom. Therefore, when we form perceptions in this material world, we should understand that perceptions are simply windows that help us look into this material world. And sometimes windows need to be cleaned too, need to be dusted off too, so that we can see clearly outside of the window. In other words, intelligence is the ability to bring about change in oneself. One should be comfortable with adapting to change. I think the time is 12 o'clock. Is it all right if I continue for a little longer, because I want to conclude with some verses and also the Ramayana? Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Should be all right?
Yeah, just that devotees have been through this Bhagavad Gita reading 3 hours on Friday, and then yesterday also Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we want to complete this, Prabhu. So
okay, so what I'll do is I will just conclude with what can be done. So moving forward, what should we do? So we should properly use our intelligence, and Krishna describes this very wonderfully in the beautiful book Bhagavad Gita. In the second chapter, 61, verse number 61, Krishna speaks about how to be a prajna, how to be situated in and the proper perspective. Krishna says, Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya pragya pratishtita. Krishna says, one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence. So our practices that we have adopted, the practices of trying to control one's senses, to engage our senses so that the senses, they are like bridled horses and not unbridled horses. In other words, they are under full control. So the sensual engagement that we have, or the sense engagements that we have, are under the control of the intelligence. And ultimately, all of this is done so that one can focus one's consciousness on Krishna, on the Supreme Lord, through hearing, through chanting, through remembrance, through offerings, various services. Such a person is known as a man of steady intelligence. So, or a woman of steady intelligence, a person of steady intelligence. So moving forward, this should be the way to work in this material world. This is how we should try and perceive actions in this material world. And I'm sorry, I would like to just conclude here, and maybe some other time I would like to see if we can bring in the reference from the Ramayana. Or maybe I'll just conclude. I'll just conclude with I'm sorry. I'll conclude with something from the Ramayana. This is from the commentary. So Lord Ramachandra, Mother Sita, and Lakshmana are already in the forest in Chitrakoot, and the Bharat was who had the offer to be the king of Ayodhya. After their father passed away, King Dashrath was no longer there. So Bharat, the prince, he comes along with all the residents of Ayodhya and also the residents of Mithila, including the king of Mithila, Janak, who is also his father-in-law, and Lord Ramchandra's father-in-law. And the spiritual preceptors like Vasishtha Muni, they come. And there is a discussion where everyone from Ayodhya, Mithila, and those who have come to the forest, their intention is to bring Lord Ram back to Ayodhya. At the same time, who would be doing this? That is being expressed, and everyone feels incapable of doing it. So Bharat, within his mind, feels that since I'm the person on the spot, because the throne has been offered to me, and my only desire is that the throne. My understanding is that the throne belongs to Lord Ram, and I am simply a servant, and he is my master. So yes, I should make the pitch. But then Bharat feels, Prince Bharat feels weak, because he feels that as a servant, how can I pitch to the master? How can I, as a servant, I simply have to follow the instructions of the master. So he feels incapable. So he wonders if Mother Kaushalya can do it. And he feels encouraged by the idea that, yes, she's a mother, so she is in the position to be authoritative, and a son is subservient to the mother. So I will request her to do it. And he feels very much encouraged, and he feels very much inspired, and he feels that, yes, the deal is done, and Mother Kaushalya would definitely want to, she'll fulfill my desire because I am her son too, and she loves me too as much as she loves Ram. At this moment, he realizes that may not be possible, and the reason is Bharat is thinking that Lord Ram is firm of his is very firm, or is very on his determination, is very firm on his words. So he would only be convinced with someone who's as determined as he is, who's as uh, firm as he is. Uh, However, Mother Yashoda, because she has such motherly affection, she cannot be harsh, she cannot be forceful. For being forceful, for being harsh, is the quality of the mother who gave me birth, is the quality of Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi was harsh. Kaikeyi was hard-hearted. Kaikeyi saw that her husband was suffering, but still she was firm that no, Bharat should be the king. So Kaikeyi could do that. However, Kaushalya, when she saw her husband in that state, she couldn't force herself, she couldn't bring herself to say that no, my son should be the king. She accepted the fact that whatever my husband wants, or whatever my son has decided, uh, that is uh, acceptable to me, because there's nothing I can do about it. So he understood that Mother Kaushalya, because of her motherly affection, could not be so hard-hearted and so stubborn as Kaikeyi was, and hence Bharat again feels dejected. So these are the various deliberations that are offered in the commentaries on the scriptures, and these commentaries help us evolve. When we hear these commentaries, it pulls at the strings of our heart that Bharat is in such a dilemma. And a similar dilemma is of Mother Kaushalya. Mother Kaushalya is approached by uh, the queen of Mithila, Sita's mother, and they're having a conversation that we are here in Chitrakoot, but how can I approach Lord Ram, and would Ram really listen to us and come back with us, or are we going to go back dejected and in sorrow, submerged in an ocean of sorrow? And the queen of Mithila, Queen Sunaina, she is addressing Kaushalya, and she's saying that please don't feel so morose, and she's trying to give her comfort. Please, yeah, even I feel so very pained seeing my son-in-law and my daughter in this situation, and I can understand what you're going through. You must feel so much pain. And Mother Kaushalya says, actually, I feel very much pain seeing my Lord Ram, my seeing my son in this situation. However, I know that my Lord Ram is the very epitome of righteousness. So, I seeing him living a life of a renunciate, it breaks my heart. However, I know that since he is the very embodiment of righteousness, even if he has to, even if he is committed to staying in the forest for 14 years, there can only be good, the end result will only be good. I'm convinced of that. So um, there is no other option for me except to bear that pain. However, my pain for Lord Ram is less compared to my pain for my son Bharat. Because I know the heart of Bharat. He would die uh, in separation from Lord Ram. I, as the mother of Lord Ram, could live in pain, but he would die out of the pain of separation from uh, his Lord, his brother, uh, who is his very life personified. And hence, I'm more concerned about Bharat's health. What would happen to him if my son Ram, what would happen to my son Bharat if my son Ram stays determined on his vow? How will he exist? And these commentaries, they bring out these kind of deliberations which lead us into the realm of spiritual emotions. When we hear them, all we can do is bow down our head in submission to that wonderful world where devotees have such affection and attraction to Lord Ram, and still, wherein these deliberations of pure intelligence take place, where each one is trying to glorify the wonderful qualities of service that another devotee embodies. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I will stop here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So we are very, very grateful again for a 1 hour class. How many hours and how many days and weeks and years may have gone into putting this together. A beautiful topic that you chose, genius dressed in working clothes. So thank you so much, Prabhu. So there are a couple of, a lot of comments. And then nicely you summarized the key teachings of, from Jada Bharat's instructions to Rahugana. For the benefit of devotees, as Prabhu mentioned, Canto 5, chapters 9 to 13, 5 wonderful verses, chapters. Prabhu, there are a lot of good comments that came through privately as well as publicly. Couple of questions in the same sequence that it came through. The first question is, in Krishna consciousness, what is the comparison between education and intelligence, and vidya and avidya?
Many great thinkers, they have expressed this through this concise statement that simply being educated does not certify that one has learned to use one's intelligence unless and until one applies what one has been educated in. Without application, the intelligence cannot develop. So there has to be Gyan and there is Vigyan. Gyan and Vigyan go hand in hand. However, when Vigyan or practical experiences or realized knowledge, that how Prabhupada translates Vigyan in the Bhagavad Gita as realized knowledge, is the birthright of every practitioner. Realized knowledge. It is sometimes we feel that in our misinterpretation of humility, we feel that, oh, we cannot have realizations because we are so fallen. That is not true. We are programmed to have realizations. Our realizations in our humility, we may consider our realizations to be like insignificant mustard seeds in comparison to the realizations of our great teachers. However, we cannot say that we are incapable of having realizations. So having realizations basically means having practical experience. So in a Krishna consciousness, when we have practical experience of how our enthusiasm stays constant, and there is and being constant, it also increases constantly. It becomes more and more constantly. Like every single day, there has to be an increase in our enthusiasm. Every single moment, there has to be an increase in our enthusiasm while rendering the 9 limbs of devotional service, because we are practicing Bhakti Yoga. The limbs of Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Vandana, Sevana, etc. Hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping the deity, or offering prayers, cleaning the temple, distributing books, Shringar, decorating the deities, or speaking about Krishna, taking care of the vehicles, taking care of the apartments that are used, taking care of the temple building that is being used in Krishna's service. Also, our family responsibilities, understanding that this family is the family of Krishna's servants. So this is all of this should culminate as experiences that give us more encouragement to practice. And whenever these experiences lead us to some feeling of being distraught, lead us to dejection, lead us to uh, feeling hurt, etc., 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 then we should stay with the questions a little longer. We should ask questions. What more can be done? What could I do? Where could I place myself so that I again find a rhythm, I again find the energy to go ahead. So these inquiries, we should stay with these inquiries a little longer. We should be smart in that sense. So realized knowledge has to be there. So without Vigyan, Gyan loses its potency. So Gyan is important because without Gyan, we cannot have Vigyan. One cannot have realization without understanding. Or without knowledge, without information, one cannot have understanding and realization. At the same time, simply knowledge or information without realization loses its potency. It is like a mouth without teeth in it. It is a toothless mouth to say. It is like a stomach without digestive fire in it. It is like it is like a lifeless body without consciousness in it. In more practical terms, basically, it means that we should put our foot where our mouth is. Sometimes it is said the other way around, that, a person putting his foot in his mouth is like, look, as if that he is proving himself to be a fool. But what I meant by that was that we should, or using the other proverb, action speaks louder than words, which means that we should act our words, we should live our thoughts, our what we express. In Krishna consciousness, that is what Srila Prabhupada has always encouraged us to do. He has encouraged us to live by, or to practice what we teach, practice what we preach, to live by what we believe in. So whenever we forward a WhatsApp message next time, which we feel is very, very encouraging, we should also try to see if we can adopt what has been mentioned in that message for ourselves. It is good to try and pass on teachings. It is better if we can also live by those teachings.
Nicely said, Prabhu. So, you mentioned that, just to reiterate for the devotees who may have joined us late, definitely intelligence is not just reposting WhatsApp, because after the advent of this COVID, everybody is in this import and export business, importing messages from one group and exporting messages to another group. And as you rightly said, intelligence is also being open to borrowing, intelligence from others, right? So as you said, yeah, if something comes, let's internalize it rather than just passing it along from one group to another group. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Maybe we'll wrap it up with one last question. So here the question, I think, is from Amal, Prabhu, where, US President Roosevelt taught us or said, learn from other people's mistake, and Bible also says learn from others' mistakes. So can we conclude that learning from others' mistake is a universal wisdom derived from scriptures?
These concise words that is passed down to us as wonderful quotes or enlightening quotes to help us imbibe certain principles are important, and they are helpful. At the same time, we should realize that variety is the nature of spiritual existence. Spiritual existence is not static. It cannot be, it is not very narrow. It is not just rigid. Spiritual existence is all about enjoyment. It is about feeling happy. So there is always room for more and more and more. In Srila Prabhupada's words, absolute existence means, or spiritual existence means, perfect, more perfect, most perfect, and so on. So there are various levels of perfectness. We are very fortunate that we have so many wise sayings and so many wise people over generations, and we can use all of these various lessons, or what has been said as a universal teaching. We can use these teachings as and when needed. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we can't let you go without your concluding sort of advice or instructions or blessings or suggestions to all the devotees who've been joining, from ISKCON Scarborough week after week. So we are hoping that you can guide us through your advice and instructions, Prabhu, at the end of 2020. And looking forward to the 2021, more importantly.
Now this is where I really feel that I'm not qualified to advise people. I kind of always feel like sharing what I'm inspired by. So if there is any inspiration that I have regarding the year that we in this modern era call as 2020, and the new year which we call as 2021. Well, this is the month of Margashirsha for us, and it will be followed by the month of Pausha. Both are going to be exciting. Both are exciting as far as we who are followers of the Vedic Panchanga, what we understand. There's so much of hope. Margashirsha brings in hope, and then comes the month of Pausha that will bring in hope. It will be followed by Falgun that will bring in hope. So that is the Vedic Panchanga, that is the Vedic calendar. Just again, sticking to what was today's topic, since that is what is inspiring me right now, that is where my mind is functioning right now, is we are so very fortunate to have the wonderful teachings given by Srila Prabhupada, and being connected through those teachings to the vast library, to the vast wisdom of so many generations of great personalities, wonderful personalities. And each one of them has been through ups and downs in life when they are in this material world. Like Srila Prabhupada, he was happy being with his devotees, and at other times he would tell his devotees that don't think that this would not happen to me, like this would not happen to you. Right now I'm old man, and you should know that this would happen to you too. And one way of Srila Prabhupada looking at his old age was this: he was in Jagannath Puri on the beach. In Jagannath Puri, and everyone was, there were so many people, they were enjoying the waves, there were children running up and down, and he explained to them that when he was a little child and he had come to Jagannath Puri, then he was running up and down this beach, and now he's an old man, and he still feels very lively and wants to run up and down the beach. However, he is old, his body is old now, so he cannot do that. And he said that don't think this will not be happening to you. And another way that Srila Prabhupada looked at his being old was, he said, I'm practically not eating much. Sleep is very much limited. I only sleep for a couple of hours a day, so practically it is very less. There is no mating, and I'm an old man, so what is a question of defense? So eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, it has been controlled. I'm practically liberated now. That is how Srila Prabhupada looked at it. So these references, as from the Ramayana, we hear the commentaries of Bharat, Kaushalya's interaction, Srila Prabhupada's own life. We have so much from that. And then we have the words of the Supreme Lord himself speaking. So the pastimes that are there and the words that are there, there's so much that we can dive into. So whenever we kind of feel stuck in life, we should go back to this place, where these energy drinks, these very inspiring places, where there are the pastimes, where there are the teachings, or where there are people who have come together to this, like wise people who have come together to this energy drink place called as Krishna consciousness, where the subject of Krishna consciousness is very enlivening. And be and seek life there. This is like that elixir of life, that fountain of life. Take our drink, take our mugs, take our mugs of our consciousness and dive in deep and drink out of it. So that is what inspires me. And then the challenges that we face in terms of the pandemic and various challenges of staying just a solitary life at home and all of that. It gives us hope. It gives us hope that there is light ahead. And if we just keep on walking, if we just keep on endeavoring, that light ahead will surround us, and we would be definitely, we would be again in a place of goodness, in a place of comfort. So looking forward to the new year, looking back at the old year, it has been a good teacher. There have been good lessons, and there have been lessons that have been tough, and it is gone. So we bid it goodbye. We wish it well wherever it finds its resting place, and with open arms and with open intelligence, with proper inquisitiveness, we look forward to the new year, so that we can go ahead. We can keep on being very active people, because where there is activity, there is the scope for being happy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. We are so grateful for all your inspiring classes throughout this year, especially this year. And you've been coming to ISKCON Scarborough and giving us so many wonderful classes in the past years as well. So we thank you, Prabhu, for this, and we hope to have you more often in 2021. And we'll take this opportunity to wish all our devotees a safe week of holidays/vacation. So I know most of you are away from work this week, and we will all see you in 2021. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Anandagara Prabhu, if